So hello everyone, and hello everyone in Zoom world, which I think is a couple. So this is the ecosystems buff. You should know it well by now. It's basically just a catch up for the community, but most of the community isn't here. I don't know why, but that's fine. We're going to just go ahead. We're going to talk briefly about what this session will cover, and then we're going to have a 10-minute feedback on HDI accessibility feedback from Willie. And then we have a series of lightning talks from some members of the community, have a discussion at the end, good, bad, pros, those sort of things, ideas for the next steps. And then we were going to have a group photo because the Ecosystems Project won the Editor's Choice Award at the SC22 for the HPC Wire. So that's quite exciting. So the first thing I will do as the person representing the project is we have site custodians. That's something we introduced recently. These custodians are to assist with the day-to-day contact and administration of your site's logistics, but they're not the only site experts that you have. They're just the ones that are your primary point of contact. So I can't see hands in the virtual world, but are either of you or you an ecosystem site? Not yet, or maybe never. Okay, but then I don't need to ask if you know who your custodians are because the custodians are all sitting here. And we're looking forward, custodians, to having face-to-face with the sites that you are custodians for in 2023. So hopefully you make it a meaningful visit, but otherwise you'll do a face-to-face. So we talk about open HPC workshops. We're running these once a quarter. We are always developing these materials to improve them. They are online, and we do need so just give us your feedback, anyone that's listening, about our Open HPC workshops. Lara will be sharing briefly later about her Open HPC 2 workshop. So she's been developing the next content. And we are not our users, so we need you guys to give us your feedback on what we're doing. Something I seem to be preaching mostly to my team. I've spoken to you guys briefly about this, but I think we're going to review on the next deployment sites a redeployment model, like revamp the deployment model. So it's the RS3 model, as I like to call it, which means historically we've been readying the site, then readying the system administrators, and then readying the system. And the bottleneck has been training the system administrators. So quite a few of the sites are not actually making any progress for the users yet, but we have users that are ready to go. So what we're going to try to do on the next deployment is do readying the site, which we normally do by identifying the site, contacting the people there. But we're going to ready the system locally at the CHPC, have a black box ready to go, ship it to the site. So all they have to do is plug it in. And the moment they plug it in, the users can get onto the system and start using it. That will happen in parallel to us readying the sysadmins, whether that's open HPC training or teaching them basics about how to deploy software or troubleshoot their system. So we're going to try that RS3, like I've described it there. I have chatted to quite a few people. People are on board with this idea, and I think it might get us more results faster. So the back to black box idea is we've been focusing, mostly I was trying to push for us to teach the system administrators a lot of knowledge, but that's the bottleneck. So instead now, let's emphasize the productivity of the system and then worry about the knowledge while the system is being used. Just a year in review, there was a Linux Clusters Institute that we ran, and I took Muiza from Marin to New Hampshire, and we did the Cluster Institute training there. It wasn't spectacular, if I can be blunt. I think we do a lot of things a lot better than they do, but at the same time, there was some useful context there. The structure for their training is pretty good. So there are things that we can learn from it. Muiza has prepared a report. I'm not sure when I'm allowed to share it yet, but I need to share a report. So Muiza, we need to get on that. Then SC22 went to Earth Science Workshop at SC22, took a whole bunch of people from SADC. That was pretty good. Some people are going to share about their experiences there now. And then we are preparing to roll out Open On Demand. So there's a small task team for now, just to pilot it. And then we're going to do a formal CHPC development of Open On Demand. So Willie, I will hand it over to you.
Thanks, Brian. So My role is to just give you an update on a project that we have received funding from the CSIR. It's a project dedicated to understanding cyber infrastructure within historically disadvantaged universities. Now, the historically disadvantaged universities in South Africa would include your, in the Eastern Cape, University of Fort Hare, Walter Sisulu University. In the Western Cape, it's University of the Western Cape. There's also talk that CPUT should be part of that classification. In Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal is the University of Zululand. Also talk that MUT should be part of it. In the north, University of Limpopo and University of Venda. So what we did a few years ago, we answered a call for proposals around issues of access and utilization of cyber infrastructure, especially in HDIs. I think the HDI angle is quite interesting because there's been a lot of investment in cyber infrastructure in those institutions. And it links basically with what we were talking about earlier on. So a total of 7 funded students on the project. 2 of them are PhD students and 5 of them are master's students based at the different institutions. Unfortunately, as attrition always happens in these cases, one of the PhD students has requested to take a break due to health reasons. And so we have split the project into 2 phases. So there's first phase for the master's students. Basically, we're coming from it from an educational psychology angle, where we're trying to understand in testing issues of access and utilization. So we've created about 5 models, and these models are trying to just harp on trying to understand barriers that are, stopping staff and students within these institutions and accessing cyber infrastructure or utilizing it to the fullest. And also, we also have a second phase of the project, which are qualitative interviews that we are having with students and staff members who are using cyber infrastructure in those institutions. So the update on the project so far, we are in the second year. We've just finishing the second year of funding. And we're starting the final year next year. Phase 1 has yielded 360 survey responses. Our target was trying to get to 400, 500. So I think with the support that we are getting and even going into the other institutions, MUT, I just made contact with Taurai Hungwe from Sefako Makato just now, who we're trying to pitch also the idea of doing the project there as well. Phase 2, we currently busy with interviews. We've done interviews with 35 students and 15 staff members. This is envisaged to be ongoing till February 2023. In terms of some preliminary findings, particularly from the qualitative interviews, because the models, we haven't analyzed them. We're using the structural equation modeling technique. We found 4 I would like to talk about as I end. The first is the influence of staff mobility on cyber infrastructure usage in HDIs. So what we're noticing is that there's a lot of movement of staff members, career movement, mobility overseas, even to the other institutions in the country. And what happens is these staff members are moving. The machinery, the equipment that has been invested is lying dormant and idle and not being utilized. So a case point is at my institution, the University of Fort Hare, where I was told that there is equipment of this nature somewhere in the science and agric building. So I had to go and look through, and then only opening a closed room where that equipment is lying there. And when I asked around, well, the person who knew how to use it or who was students on the project literally moved with those students to another institution, and that equipment was left idle. The second one was stakeholder issues, particularly understanding the real value of CI, cyber infrastructure. And the concern here is institutions, particularly in the HDI context, constantly be applying for grants and hosting these equipment, but a lack of thorough understanding of the value of this instrument, this equipment. For instance, whenever there are strikes and students are protesting, some of the damage that is caused to equipment. And so stakeholder issues, particularly stakeholder issues, I'm referring to what you would call the MECs in the institutions of higher learning, the management executive committees, they themselves to take account to understand the value and the worth of the instruments or the equipment that they have in their in the institutions. The third one, a silo mentality of working, and I think Brian, you solved it today. I literally was hoping something like this would happen, where there's a platform where we could all connect, and within not even a minute, I managed to join and be part of that network. And so what we picked up is the guys at the University of Venda are working in their own corner. And funny enough, the places where we meet is here, where we see the posters, a Univen poster next to a University of Limpopo poster at the conference. But in terms of actually cross collaborations and working, and part and parcel of the challenge has to do even with the perception of each other amongst the institutions. So they would rather collaborate with someone from UJ, WITS, UCT, and not collaborate amongst the HDI. So that's one of the things we want to unpack. Why isn't there cross collaboration in HDIs concerning some of these issues? And finally, the lack of an accountability mechanism. Who does it? And what I mean here is that who holds to account the neglect that is happening in terms of equipment, in terms of resources that are, put nicely, taxpayers' money, and that must be accounted for. And in thinking of who to hold account, the buck is just passed around. And that's what I learned as a psychologist working with people from the sciences, that a lot of them did not want to engage on one-on-one talk. Go and ask so and so. So I had to ask different people in the different institutions to say, let's find out what's going on. So I'm hoping next year when we meet again, we'll bring all the students who are funded on the project. And I'm also hoping we will have hardcore tangible data and a policy brief that we want to submit to NICIS and all the work that they're doing. Thanks.
Thanks, Willie. There was a lot of nodding heads in my little circle there. So a lot of what you said resonates with us. Brian Macy was next to speak, but he's not feeling well. And I don't want to do injustice to his report. So we're going to skip over that, but the slides will be included. And when he feels up to it, he may record a voiceover for it. But he was going to share what they've done with the hardware that they've received. In a nutshell, their Stampede hardware, they have removed all the Xeon Phis and they procured their own GPUs and installed them in. And as far as I know, they've put 2 NVIDIA 1060s per node. So they have 80 NVIDIA 1060s on their rack now. But that's a strong illustration of what we expect from all the partner sites. When we give you hardware, you need to also bring some money to the party. And that kind of also instills a sense of accountability, like Willie was referring to. When you've got skin in the game, you're going to look after the stuff. So moving on. Oh, so this is Brian. Yeah. I won't do injustice to it, but he came with to SC, and he also came with me to Ohio Supercomputing Center, which is part of us developing the Open On Demand initiative. And he's dressed for Texas weather, but it was -16 when we were there, that picture on the right. So he was probably happy to be in the data center because it was warmer there than outside. Then there's some other online speakers, and then we'll come to Laura. So I don't know who's first in the agenda, but is it Marinet? So Mwiza, it's over to you.
Okay, so I'll be presenting quickly on HPC Ecosystems Project Impact in my country, Malawi. So my name is Mwiza Muhango. I work for MAREN, which is Malawi Research and Education Network. So a disclaimer there, but I will not dwell on this disclaimer because my time will be up soon. So I'll just move on. But I'll draw here on introduction because you understand most of the slides from here. So earlier this year, the government of Malawi received a high performance computing system through the SADC, that is Southern Africa Development Community. So since then, we've been in close relationship, working with HPC in South Africa. and they have been really working hard to make sure that the system is up and running. So the system that we received is a 40-node Dell system, which is per node, I think it's 16 cores. For the whole 40 nodes, we have like 640 cores. So at Maren, I work as a network engineer, but also currently I'm working as a sysadmin for the HPC system. It is good to take note of the impact that the HPC ecosystem project has made so far in Malawi, more especially with the trainings and the conferences, as well as administration resources. So the impact is more like qualitative in nature, but can easily be visible through the hands-on experience that I have gained so far. So first of all, the videos that HPC ecosystems have produced, these videos have enabled me to actually build a cluster based on OpenHPC from scratch and be able to run some commands and stuff like that. So that has actually produced more confidence in me as a sysadmin for HPC in Malawi. Moving forward, in August this year, we went to US, where we had a Linux Clusters Institute training workshop. So in this workshop, I had a chance of meeting a lead developer of Open on Demand by the name of Gerard Bucket. So this guy has really offered to come actually visit Africa and deploy Open on Demand as a pilot project in Malawi and South Africa. So after that kind of deployment, to give back to the community, we are planning to work together with teams in SADC to deploy Open on Demand as well in the region. So we also had a chance of going to the HC conference 2022. In this conference, there are so many things that happened, but the highlights, the ones that I've just shown. So first of all, we had to strengthen our relationship with the guys that developed Open on Demand. But also I had a privilege of meeting the tag team, which is a team at Texas Advanced Computing Center. The guys that actually donated the Dell Stampede. So it was really a good time to meet them and have a little discussion with them. And then we also had a pre-conference, that is a pre-conference concerning earth science. So most of the experts shared on several issues, of which from there I drew some lessons on which I have a mind of what to expect when dealing with scientists and researchers in Malawi. And at the SC, we had workshops and also we had hands-on tutorials. On this last slide, I'm sure I'm doing good with time. So I want to share progress so far in Malawi. We had the system deployed at Maren, at NOP, but we had to move it to the National Data Center because of some issues to do with connectivity and power. At the moment, we are only running 4 nodes because of cooling issues. So we are planning to work on cooling soon. And for the 4 nodes, we plan to test the system using the 4 nodes. But unfortunately, the user that wanted to test the system had issues with the software. So it was halted because he could no longer test because he wanted certain software that could be installed on the system. but as of now, that software is not installed. We are planning to work together with HPC team to redeploy more recent software, maybe OK or ARMA Linux, and actually connect the InfiniBand network to ensure that the system is current, as well as we have all the hardware connected together. And the other plan is to pilot Open on Demand with the first users that will use the system. So that's all from me. I think I can take questions if there may be any.
We're going to save the questions to the end.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lara Tim. I work in the ACE Lab at the CHPC with Brian, but I am obviously also part of the Ecosystems project. Today, I will be presenting to you our progress with regards to our Open HPC virtual workshop and what the plans are that we have going forward in the near future. We've got some things in progress at the moment. So in terms of the virtual workshop, what's it all about? Essentially, Open HPC have a software stack where you can install an HPC system very simply and easily with a basic guide. And what we've done is we, starting with Brian and the team that came before, the current ACE Lab team, have developed a virtual training workshop where individuals are able to practice and do sysadmin training and to install these HPC systems on their Ecosystems hardware via having done this virtual workshop, which is done locally on a local computer through virtual machines. So essentially, we're providing HPC sysadmin training without having to have individuals have the systems up and running, so we can get the training on from the very beginning. So that's essentially what the virtual workshops are about. And what we have now done is that was an Open HPC 1.3 workshop. And with the introduction of Open HPC 2, we are revamping the workshop so that we can have an updated version. So this is the guide from our Open HPC 1.3. And essentially what we have done is we've created a new guide, which now uses, rather than XCAT, uses Werewolf as the provisioning system. And it is, we've completed the Werewolf and Slurm version, and it's still under construction. We're getting there, but it should be coming soon towards the beginning of next year. Hopefully within the first quarter, we'll have something up and running so that our teams can start deploying these systems on their HPC with an updated version of Open HPC. What we wanted to do was hopefully open up the room later in the question session to find out if anyone in the audience or anyone on the Zoom has worked through our virtual workshops for Open HPC 1. We would like to know, so in the meantime, if you can prepare your thoughts and responses, what you thought of our 1.3 virtual training. Are you happy with the format as it is? Can we make any improvements? Do you have any suggestions? Do you like the way that we use the virtual workshops? And is there anything else that you would like to see from us? So that is essentially my presentation. And yeah, we hope to hear your feedback in the questions at the end. All right, that's later.
Yeah, forget the group photo for now. We've still got our international Bernie and John. John, are you there? Are you ready to go?
Perfect. All right, so for those who don't know me, I received Ranger a long time ago with Brian while I was a lecturer still at UKZN. I was involved in the Ecosystems project while I was the Bioinformatics Support Platform Manager at CHPC. And I'm currently a bioinformatician or programmer / HPC admin at the Clemson Center for Human Genetics. And I'm part of a 3-person team who's responsible for both doing the bioinformatics as well as managing our small in-house HPC cluster. And together we support a work of approximately 40 researchers, academics, grad students, visiting scholars, and postdocs. So again, you can do a lot of science with a system on the scale that is given to ecosystem sites. Obviously, no talk would be appropriate without including at least a little bit about our HPC system. It's fairly modest, 4 compute nodes, 40 cores, each 192 gigs, 2 big mem nodes, 44 cores, and 1.5 terabytes of RAM. We've got 500 terabytes of storage, all of that with fully redundant cooling and power, and we're soon upgrading. So we've got a DGX A100 in the hallway, as well as 5 more big mem nodes and an additional 500 terabytes of storage. We run a pretty loose shop, so basically we try to allow researchers to do what they need to do and impede as little as possible. Obviously, as our community grows, we're going to have to look at adding more restrictions and also managing our more heterogeneous cluster slightly differently. We ran Open HPC with XCAT and Slurm. That was all unfortunately deployed before I came, and we'll be looking at the path going forward. So some of the ecosystems experience will actually be useful for us as well. Ecosystems training, I've been involved with this for a while. My opinion at the moment, and this is not to say that it's bad, but it's just to say that maybe it's not hitting the right needs. I think the focus is a bit too limited. Just building a conceptual and practical understanding of the OpenHPC stack is great, but we need to take it further. At this point, I think a lot of HPC admins wonder, well, what do I need to do as part of my day-to-day job now that I've got a cluster up and running? And my solution would be to add a much more hands-on structured event with definite goals, which kind of reflects what HPC admins need to be doing to support their users, and really to give them more guidance and demonstrate an effective problem-solving approach, which is what's necessary to run an HPC admin system. You can't teach everything you need to know. You need to teach people how to figure out what they need to know and then go ahead and implement it. So my proposal is an HPC ecosystems hackathon. And really, this is a few short day, intense in-person event with well-defined goals that sort of mimic real-life HPC responsibilities and roles. This would include a set of tasks which require some research, some trial and error, and troubleshooting. These could be independent tasks, or they could be steps to complete a bigger goal. I envision kind of small teams, maybe 3 to 5 people local to each ecosystem site, working together, as well as with members of the other teams to try and solve these problems, and ultimately at the end of the event coming together to share their experiences, their solutions, and the processes they use to come to the solutions. A particularly good example of this, which has already been mentioned, is Open On Demand. We've seen a great uptick in use of our system when we installed Open On Demand earlier this year. It really makes HPC much more accessible to users who are not HPC proficient. It allows you to pretty much access the HPC site purely through a web browser. No other software needs to be installed. You can get a shell, you can monitor jobs, you can do basic file management. The really exciting part is that you can also run an almost unlimited number of interactive graphical apps. And these can be streamed via VNC Viewer or if they have a native web interface. So popular examples are things like RStudio, MATLAB, and Jupyter Notebooks. Bioinformatics, we use IGV, Integrated Genomics Viewer, Cytoscape, and Seurat. You can even run an entire Linux desktop if you want in your browser. There are many shiny R apps out there which are easy to install, but all of this requires some setup from an HPC system administrator. And I think this is really a good idea for potentially the first hackathon. There are, of course, many other ideas as well. You could also show users how to use containers in HPC. I think configuring queues to meet unique site requirements is one of the projects that I'm working on at the moment, because we've now got users who own their own nodes, and so they will obviously get preferential treatment or preempt other jobs that are running on those if they wish to run. Helping to parallelize trivially parallel jobs with something like GNU Parallel is often very useful. We have a lot of users who run R scripts, which can be broken up and split across many cores and many nodes and significantly increase the time to solution. Maybe building custom dashboards for monitoring cluster activity using something like Grafana, potentially identifying issues that have been found at ecosystem sites and trying to come up with creative solutions as a group. Also building documentation for your site. I think putting up a read the docs style site for your site might be a good idea. And then finally, things like training users to use other tools which are important for reproducible science, such as version control, GitHub, or workflow management, just especially useful when you have jobs that are fairly complex and may need to be restarted. All right, that's the end of my presentation, and hopefully there'll be some discussion on this later.
Thanks, John. That was perfect time. We are 15 minutes to go before we scheduled the group photos. So we're going to have Bernie to talk, and then I will summarize quickly and give some space for discussion while Bernie's getting set up. Bernie is one of the system administrators that runs the Morinet system, which is the Mozambique Research Education Network, and they host their hardware at their Malawana data center. Bernie?
Yeah, I'm here.
You've got your 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone again. I can continue my presentation. I will start from here first. The Moronet receives two HPC equipments from HPC South Africa. In the first cluster was the T4030, and now we call the CISCAD. This cluster have 20 compute nodes, and each nodes have 12 cores and 35 gigabytes of RAM and 10 terabytes of shared storage. And we are configuring the InfiniBand network. And have to Stampede in the which are the status are in testing in the phases, initial phases for testing of your operationalizations. These clusters have for testings in all have 40 nodes, and in total 640 cores, but no have the InfiniBand configuration right now. Our activities from this year, we moved of the first cluster from data center, from government data center at Malawana to good operationalizations, and we installed the modules and application for tools for that data tools and simulations. You can see in this screen. We have a Python. You have a Command R, Octave in module file, and in our cluster to support our users. And the software which we have in these clusters are these WRF, MATLAB, Python, Conda, and IDL, which are installed and when the users ask us or submitted shared the U requirements of the power of computing, and after installing our cluster, about applications and OpenHPC software stacks, we have experiment the simulation of WRF, and this image shows the simulation of shortcut cyclone Gombe, which affected in Mozambique in this year. This is the first results of our simulations in the clusters T4030, and we try add application with Python from these emissions for radio astronomy data to perform drift scan and computing PSS values for Virgo A. This is one of the results we attest with other my colleagues, which are each is the data scientists which affected in this area for HPC at Moronet. He's trying the running the simulation and data in our clusters. And we and last months we gave the basic training to HPC users, and this was a first basic training for users and took places from 10 to 40 in October. The name of this course was Moronet of HPC First Grade Cluster Training, and we have 30 participants coming from education, research sector, and other institutions. Right now we have these active users and the proposal of utilizations to our cluster. In total, we have 80 users. And other thing I can share is about my participation on the supercomputing conference which occurred recently in Dallas. The highlights for this, for my participation, was a good or great environment to have. Yeah. My minutes. Hello. Hi, Brian.
You have 1 minute.
1 minute. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Let's go. We are Benigers. We are starting in HPC technology right now, and how now what's our role? In my opinion, we should outreach and engagement with the public and wide research community. And number two, we can work to identify documents and disseminate best practice in HPC training, define the development a master program of reusable and open licenses courses to modules, and improve the transfers of skills and talent between academia and industry. And we can work together to facilitate professional networking development and peer support for research and software engineers. Let's work together for is my expectation is to join the efforts of the data scientists, networks engineers, and HPC community to grow and building this community in Mozambique, in all of the countries which have HPC ecosystem project. And in particular, in Mozambique, I think we have to join forces from due to CHPC, Moronet, and academia for and that I can my minutes hand off. No, I can.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Benito.
Yeah. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you too. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. I can tell you can't see everyone in the room, but there are a lot of excited looks on people's faces when we saw what you're actually pulling off the system. There's a lot more we have to talk about. There's applause going on as well, virtual applause here. So yeah, very well done for you and your team, and extend our congratulations. We'll definitely be following up with you about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't know what was left on my agenda here, it just says group photo. If anyone has you got 3 minutes to have questions, and then our session ends officially. I can just say there's a lot that was spoken about that we would like to see happen in 2023 and soon beyond that. We will keep the conversation going after the session in the Slack, the community workspace. And then also there is a Google group. If you're not part of either of those, get on. If you don't know how to get on, catch one of us that's wearing a Nikki shirt, because most of us here are part of the project that are wearing a Nikki shirt. Catch us after this session. So for the last 2 or 3 minutes, any comments or questions? I can't see a virtual land as well, so I don't know if anyone's on Zoom to tell us if there's a virtual question. No questions? Okay, well, there's a lot going on.
My hand up.
Hi.
I had my hand up, but you didn't see me, so I'll have to interrupt you.
Go for it.
Yeah, so we are very hungry in Malawi for our system to be up and running. So my question would be, as a community, more especially HPC ecosystems, what timelines can we give ourselves to have our system up and running, more especially with InfiniBand and the upgraded software like Rocky or AMA Linux? Thank you.
So yeah, good question. So the first thing I can say is when you say you have your system up and running, you moved it. So now you can't run the whole thing. So we need to know from you when you'll have your cooling done, but definitely we can have the 4 nodes running fairly quickly. We could arrange either a site visit to do it with you next year, or we try to do it remotely. Touch base with us, Muiza. I think it's really not too difficult for us to get a system redeployment with you. We just need to maybe have a focused 1 week together, whether that's doing it remotely for 1 week where we just check in during office hours and do it remotely, or if we actually arrange a site visit to you if funds allow and time allows. Is that a good enough answer? We could definitely put a week up in the first quarter of next year to get it done.
We would rather have you here. So the best would be you coming to us. That arrangement to actually give us more, more feedback to the questions that we may have.
Sure.
So I think you being here will be much better. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So then send me and Eugene an email, and then we'll facilitate that discussion. Wait.
Thank you.
It's Eugene. Yeah, it is Eugene. Yeah, it's Eugene. Cool. And on that anyway, like I mentioned earlier with the custodians, it's really important that the custodians meet the people on sites, because a lot of them are dealing with initials on Teams and it's not really helpful. So we are going to try as much as we can with time and funds to get site visits going. But we are also really looking at trying to set up that hackathon type idea. We'll discuss that more in the community, but to bring everyone together in a central location would be fantastic. We haven't done that in 5 years. We just need to find out again if budget allows that. But I think it's important. I think it's long overdue that everyone meets each other again. And the hackathon would be a good way for us to get a review on how everyone is doing and to give more precision training interventions for sites. Happy's got his hand up.
Afternoon, colleagues. Those who are also on the virtual platform. I know I have arrived a little bit late and a lot was already touched on. So what I just wanted to indicate, and the reason I was a bit late, because next door, thanks to the program setting, we are on the SADC cyber infrastructure next door. So there has been reports that have been given by countries on that side. But before that, it was more looking at the whole strategic direction of where are we going on this. So basically where we are now, how far we came is we have started off with putting out infrastructure training people, and I think pretty much we have almost achieved that objective. But the next thing that we're looking at, also from the SADC cyber infrastructure, most of you will recall that now it has been 10 years. This is a 10-year anniversary of the SADC cyber infrastructure. So normally when we get there, that's where you reach a milestone, right? 10 years. So that's a decade. So we have to look at what have we achieved, and moving from here, where are we going? What is it that we would like to achieve? So for those who are still, and ways I hear that now your system is not running, I've been telling people that your system is running. So basically I've been not very generous with the truth. So I think what we need to do is that after this decade, system should be running. That we should have got through that. We need to get into the next phase. The next phase, it will be, what impact are we doing with the systems? And I think we should start tuning our minds to that level to say, are we making meaningful impact? And meaningful impact here is programs that will help the region. And I was giving an example here that out of all the applications that we have, it looks like climate change, climate modeling, weather forecasting. It's one area that is really pushing because there's tangible projects there. You could see even the publications that come out of there and the programs that are being run there, because there's an ultimate goal that has been put. There's basically a grand challenge. And the grand challenge is that we would like to get a unified regional model. Because at the moment, if we're just looking at SADC, is that every country is using different type of formulations for climate modeling. Some they will be using CCAM, some are using WRF, some are using unified model like South Africa. But we are talking about the climate conditions that affect the region. And if we are going to try and look at responding to any natural disasters in the region with all this soup of formulations of climate modeling, then we have got a problem. So the grand challenge that has been set by that community is to say, let's have a unified model that talks about SADC. So you could see there is traction in there. So I think those are some of the things that we need to start looking at to say, what are the grand challenges that we set in different areas? For an example, in health, it could be other things that we're looking at. So, and I know most of you here are, say, computer scientists. You are not domain experts, right? You are interested to see lights flashing, that's it. And what people are going to do with that, you don't care. I know, that's what you will tell me. But I think, sorry? Oh, no, it's fine. I know you don't like listening to me anyway. It's okay, you can go, yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, okay, we go in there, yeah. Okay, so colleagues, I was just saying, let's plant that seed. So let's start thinking about this. As much as we are just system administrators, let's start asking our users about this. What is it that you are doing? Where are we going with it? Okay, but thanks for the progress that has been reported. Thank you.
Thank you, Happy. People need to go because you are over the schedule, but I'd like to invite everyone for a photo quickly, a group photo. We did receive the HPC Y Award. If you'd like to be part of that photo because it's your community that actually contributed to it. Happy, I also would like to give you the placard because it belongs to you. Okay. All right, sure. We're going to do it right here, right now. Yeah. Thank you, virtual people. Really appreciate your contributions. Sorry you couldn't be here in person, but please, by all means, send a photo and we'll Photoshop you in because you're part of the community. Thanks, everyone.